It's been a while, but with the Final Fantasy XVI event finally dropping in Final Fantasy XIV, I think it's as good a time as ever to talk about more references. Final Fantasy XVI was developed by Creative Business Unit 3, the same team that currently develops for Final Fantasy XIV. And so it was only a matter of time before Clive made his way into Final Fantasy XIV. So in this video, we will have a comprehensive look at the Final Fantasy XVI collab and all the references that appear within this event. As always, this is your spoiler warning, as the event does go over a very important part in Final Fantasy XVI. Final Fantasy XVI was released on June 22, 2023 for the PlayStation 5. It is Creative Business Unit 3's first attempt at a single-player Final Fantasy. The story follows a man named Clive and his journey to seek out his brother's murderer. On April 2nd, 2024, the event The Path Infernal makes his way into Final Fantasy XIV. The event starts with the Wandering Minstrel asking for your help about a dream that involves a scarlet star meeting a blazing white star. The minstrel interprets this as a prophecy that the Warrior of Light is meant to meet this mysterious scarlet star. The minstrel concludes as well that the star may appear in the Burning Wall, an important area that will be explained later. When we arrive at the Burning Wall, we find the man who seems to be the scarlet star that the minstrel described. This man is Clive Rosfield of the Grand Duchy of Rosaria. However, it seems as though he has lost a chunk of his memory, and we assist in finding out where he came from and who he is. The last thing he remembers is being in the ruins. The ruins in question are the Phoenix Gate ruins, the place where Clive had lost his brother. When we arrive in Gridania with Clive, we are to find anything that may jog his memory. At the first bubble, he is reminded of a tavern, although it is still a very hazy memory. This tavern may be the tavern found in the Hideout or Martha's Rest in Final Fantasy XVI. In the second bubble, Clive recognizes the chocobos and remembers that he had a chocobo once, although is unsure where they could be. This chocobo in question is Ambrosia, his faithful chocobo who saved his life at the Phoenix Gate. At this point in Clive's story, however, Ambrosia has been long missing. At the final bubble, Clive sees an aetheryte crystal and is reminded of the mother crystals, although smaller than those crystals back home. Clive, no. Don't do it. At the end of the quest, Clive overhears a soldier's report of the Ixal and the lack of a Garuda sighting. This triggers Clive into remembering Garuda from his world. To find out more about this world's Garuda, Clive and the Warrior of Light meet Kane Senna, for Clive to jog his memory even further. Clive recollects that the Garuda of his world was Benedicta, although distinctly not a deity. The minstrel concludes that the Ixal Garuda is not the same Garuda from Clive's world. The minstrel then asks about Clive's tattoo, and he explains that he is a bearer. He also recalls Ifrit, which the minstrel uses to further help Clive remember. The minstrel uses this knowledge to transport both to the Bowl of Embers. When the Warrior of Light and Clive arrive in the Bowl of Embers, Ifrit is summoned, although Clive does not recognize this version of Ifrit. Ifrit then transforms into a different version of Ifrit, the one he remembers. And the memories start rushing in as he remembers this Ifrit being Joshua's killer. We are then challenged to extinguish Ifrit. In this fight, we gain two action abilities, Dodge and Rising Flame. The dodging is very similar to the dodging in Final Fantasy XVI, in which we can also precision dodge and even gap close counter similarly to Final Fantasy XVI. Rising Flame is also Clive's Phoenix abilities. There is also a UI element that indicates precision dodging and precision countering, much like the original game. Clive himself uses three Phoenix abilities, which are the Rising Flame, Scarlet Cyclone, and Flames of Rebirth. At the end of the fight, Clive recalls that he was his brother's killer all along, and he remembers being Ifrit. This cutscene is also exactly like the cutscene from Final Fantasy XVI, where he accepts the truth. After the fight, we finally fully know where in Clive's timeline he was pulled, shortly after accepting the truth at Phoenix Gate. We also know why Clive was brought to the Burning Wall, as it was a strong connection to Phoenix, the icon that Clive was closest to in his world. This final prompt about accepting the bitter truth is a reference to Clive's line.
No matter how bitter the truth that awaits me, I will press on.
And with that, we say goodbye to Clive as he journeys back to his world. The event rewards us with the Torgal mount, Clive's trusty companion, as well as the Torgal minion and Clive's outfit. There was many music pieces used in the event from Final Fantasy XVI, such as The Hideaway, Away, and Find the Flame, among others. There were also many orchestrion rules offered during this event found in the Gold Saucer. And the Clive Triple Triad card can also be found here as well. Now, before we end, this is not so much a reference, nor is it related to the Path Infernal event, but I wanted to include this anyway. In an article from Inverse.com, it is revealed that the fight against the Sapphire weapon in the Shadow of World quests served as a prototype for the icon fights found in Final Fantasy XVI. Yoshi P reveals that the G-Warrior gameplay was the result of the gameplay that was developing while they were still working on Final Fantasy XVI in the background at the time. This means that we had a sneak peek at what an icon fight might have looked like back in 2021. And it's very cool to see that Final Fantasy XVI had some influences in Final Fantasy XIV before 16 even came out. And there we have it. Final Fantasy XVI was CPU3's attempt at their own single-player story, and it offered a new and epic story into the franchise. It is amazing to see how much Final Fantasy XIV influenced the many elements in 16, and vice versa, and it gives me hope for the next CPU3 project. Thank you for watching, and also let me take this time to say I know it's been a while since I made a video for Final Fantasy XIV references, and I know this series is now 2 years old. There have been many new references since the start of this series, and I still plan on making more reference videos, as it's just cool to see Final Fantasy XIV grow even more. I am thinking of making a post-Endwalker reference video, and there's still a Nier reference video in the works. Thank you for your patience, and I hope to see you in the next video.